very nice, yep. Wait, I'll give you that. No, it should be TF. Okay, so that's the first achievement. So that's basically that's the equation that we used when we went into the Balassa-Samuelson thing. And now the question is, what is this exactly? Wait, I'll give you a better blue pen. I'll No, perfect. And I mean, it's just for everybody else, and right? The first thing refers to the good. The second thing is where it's priced. So this is the price of the H good in country F, this is the price of the F good in country F, this is the price of the H good in country H, this is the price of the F good in country H. It took me a while to, get used to that. You're much quicker than I was. let me check. Be careful. Okay, so you have minus theta h. Yeah, the minus is there. When yeah. Wait a second. Yeah. Okay, you're perfect. Okay, so you subtract it and you add it, and you have pH f hf. Then you have 1 minus f, pf plus, and then you subtract this. I think there's a coefficient missing. That should be. Yeah. Okay, no. Wait a sec. Is there? Okay, I see. Careful with the pins, otherwise you ruin your notes. Okay, so now minus PTF H plus theta H, that's okay, minus theta F, okay, perfect, good. We can move this upward, then you don't have to be on your knees.
I just want to write down the whole.
I see.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, wow, that's okay. Let me check. I see where you're going. So you have theta h p f h. Where is it? Yes, and you have the. Okay, let's just count that we have. That we didn't add anything that shouldn't have been added. Okay, so you have theta PTFH, which is FH. Okay, here it is. Okay, fair enough. Then you have HF, this is here and there, okay. And then you have all the others. Okay, fair enough. Good. Okay, super. And I know what's next. Like you bring in the knowledge exchange rate. Yep. do in German universities when they applaud. They don't clap with their hands, they knock on the table. Wow, super. That's really impressive. Very nice job. Thank you very much. And so let's now. The rest of the question is just about, looking at this from various angles. So the first question is, start by assuming that theta h is theta f, and that the log one price holds for all traded goods. That is, identical traded goods have the same price in all countries once those prices are converted into a common currency. How can we explain fluctuations of the real exchange rate in this case? Now, B says, suppose that theta h equals theta f, and that this should be, wait a second, this should be fh. That's the only, oops, I'm messing up things, but that should be pt fh, because it's good f. You see? That refers to the input. Now, the law of one price says that PTHH equals PTHF plus ET, and PTFF equals PTFH plus ET. Now, if we plug this in here, then we see that actually this is equal to 0, right? Because this and PTFF plus PET wait a second. No, that should be minus. Because here you're translating the foreign currency price into domestic currency. Here you're translating the domestic currency price into the foreign currency.
So
Please?
The top one should be the PTH, right? You are transforming the foreign good into the home currency.
This one, this is the home country good and the home currency. And this is the home country good and the foreign currency. So this is basically, what that says is now PTHH equals ET times PTHF. This is in local currency of this is in local currency units of country H. This is in local currency units of country F, and this is local currency units of H divided by local currency units of F. And that's how you turn it into the same thing. Right? I mean, juggling with these logarithms and turning these products and ratios into differences is sometimes a bit tricky. But here, this is foreign currency. Well, you could write it like PTFF plus ET equals PTFH. Now, this is the foreign currency good. This is the foreign good in foreign currency, and you translate it into domestic currency by adding the log of the nominal exchange rate. And that in turn means that, well, you see it here, PFF plus ET minus PFH is of course 0. And so, if that is the case, then QT CPI is just 1 minus gamma, the stuff, right? If that is the case, if you have identical consumption baskets, so theta H and theta F are the same, and you don't have any deviation from the law of one price for traded goods, then the only thing driving the real exchange rate is this relative non-traded. The difference in differences in the sense of here you got the difference in non-traded versus traded goods prices in the foreign country should have been F, and here you have the non-traded over traded goods price in the home economy. So that's part B. Now part C is what? Continue by assuming that the law of one price holds for all tradable goods, but that theta H is greater than theta F. How would you interpret such a situation? Now, if theta H is greater than theta F, well, don't expect anything surprising, right? What if theta H is greater than theta F? What does that signal?
Home bias.
A home bias in consumption, right? It's a home bias in consumption. That is residents of H devoting larger share of their consumption to the H good. A larger share. Devoting. Right? So, and of course, and vice versa, right? And you can argue residents of country F devoting a larger share of their consumption to the F good. So, if you say hats and footballs, right? Country H produces hats, and country F produces footballs, then the share of hats in country H consumption is larger than in country F, and the share of footballs in the F consumption basket is larger than in H. Good. Next thing. What about E, D? Recall that the price of imported traded goods relative to the exported traded goods expressed in a common currency are called the terms of trade. Well, I define it that way. You will meet people in your life who define it the other way around, right? Price of exportables over importables, but that's not. You just have to define. It's like price and quantity notation. What is in the numerator? What is in the denominator of that ratio? How do the terms of trade affect the real exchange rate if theta H equals theta F? So this thing here is the terms of trade, as I call them, right? And so, how do the terms of trade affect the real exchange rate, the CPI-based real exchange rate, if theta H equals theta F? No. Okay. So if theta H equals theta F, no effect of QT terms of trade on QT CPI. And the reason is that if you have identical goods baskets, then these relative price changes affect the domestic price, the consumption basket, the price of the domestic consumption basket in the same way as it affects the foreign consumption basket. And so it doesn't give doesn't give rise to any discrepancies in national prices. Conversely, if theta h is greater than theta f, then qt tot going up results in qt CPI going up. Right? If imported goods become more expensive, so if the F goods become more expensive, then this affects the foreign consumption basket by more if there's a home bias and consumption than the domestic consumption basket. Because foreigners devote a larger share to this. So you need this asymmetry in consumption baskets for the terms of trade to have an impact on the real exchange rate. Now, is this realistic? The answer is yes. We have a lot of evidence that there is something like a home bias in consumption. Not for all countries and not for all goods, but for the standard, as I said, I mean, Germans eat potatoes and sausages, and in Vietnam you eat more rice and probably mangoes, I guess. Don't want to use stereotypes, that's not my intention of it. So the economic intuition for this result, and let me come back to that, is really important, right? So what does it mean that the terms of trade go up? It means that the foreign goods price goes up relative to the domestic goods price. And if you have identical goods baskets, that affects both price indexes in the same way. Now, if you have different consumption baskets and foreigners devote a larger share of their consumption to their own good, and the domestic residents a smaller share, then this price increase or this relative price change drives up the foreign price by more than the domestic price. Or the price index. Good. So what about E? Now let me stick to that side and suppose that in both countries firms set prices for both their own and the foreign market their own currency, and that these prices have to be set before the nominal exchange rate is realized. Do fluctuations of the nominal exchange rate move the real exchange rate in this case? How do such fluctuations affect the terms of trade and net exports? Now, here things become interesting. I mean, everything has so far hopefully has been interesting, but then now it's getting particularly interesting. All right. So let me check. Now I have to use my notes, otherwise I'll probably screw up. And I have to take a sip of ginger tea. Good. Now, what does producer currency pricing mean? Well, producer currency pricing means the price of the home good in the foreign country is the price of the home good in the home country plus the nominal exchange rate, minus the nominal exchange rate. Because you're translating the home currency price into the foreign currency. And the foreign goods price in the home country is PTFF plus ET. Now, when we go to that expression up here, we see that in that case, the log one price applies to both goods. So that means that when we go up, PTHF plus ET plus ET minus PTHH equals 0, and here you have PTFF plus ET plus ET minus PTFH is 0 as well. So that means the law of one price holds. So these terms cancel out. Now, what about the terms of trade? Well, now the terms of trade, QT terms of trade, are, now what did you write? You had PTFH minus ET minus PTHF. Now, this is PTFF plus ET. This is PTHH minus ET. So you get PTFF plus ET minus ET minus PTHH plus ET, and by the end of the day, what you get is the PTFF plus ET minus PTH.